Number 1. Elasmosaurus. About 80 million years ago, a warm inland sea split North America in two. In those waters where Kansas is now dry land, Elasmosaurus moved like a living question mark. Its body was wide, its four flippers worked like oars, and its neck stretched so far that half the animal seemed to arrive before the rest of it through green Cretaceous water long ago. Elasmosaurus was about 40 to 46 feet long, but it was not built like a whale or a shark. Its neck held around 72 bones, more than almost any sea reptile known, and its mouth carried thin teeth for grabbing fish. It likely cruised slowly, then swept its head toward prey before the victim understood what had moved beside it in the shadows under the waves. When Edward Drinker Cope described the fossil in 1868, even he was fooled by its strange shape. He first placed the head on the wrong end, thinking the long neck was a tail. That mistake became famous in the Bone Wars, a fierce contest between fossil hunters who wanted every new discovery to make their names unforgettable in American science for the age. The western interior seaway eventually vanished, leaving shells, bones, and chalky rock where waves once rolled. Elasmosaurus disappeared with the age of the great marine reptiles, but its fossil still tells a strange story. Sometimes the ocean's rulers were not the loudest hunters, but the quiet shapes that looked impossible until the bones were found. Number 2. Megalodon. More than 20 million years ago, warm seas covered much of the world, and one shadow made young whales turn away. Megalodon, now called Otodus megalodon, was not a movie monster. It was a real shark, known mostly from huge teeth and backbone pieces, and some teeth were bigger than a human hand. Today, they still look like stone knives from an old lost sea. In 1835, scientist Louis Agassiz helped name those giant teeth, and over time they told a larger story. Megalodon likely reached about 50 to 60 feet, longer than a school bus, with jaws built to crush. Fossils show bite marks on ancient whale bones, signs that this hunter chased the biggest meals of its age, not tiny fish hiding in reefs at dusk. Its world began to change near the end of the Pliocene, about 3.6 million years ago. Oceans cooled, sea levels shifted, and many small whales disappeared or moved into colder waters. New hunters, including early great white sharks, also spread through the seas. For an animal that needed enormous meals, every lost whale mattered in that changing world too. So Megalodon faded as the ocean itself changed around it. The teeth it left behind are found on beaches, riverbeds, and sea cliffs, quiet reminders of a time when the largest shark ever known ruled the waves. Number 3. Livyatan. About 12 million years ago, off the coast of what is now Peru, the ocean held a whale that hunted like a sea dragon. Livyatan melvilli was not gentle like most whales people imagine today. It was a giant sperm whale with a huge skull, heavy jaws, and teeth made for grabbing large animals that breathed the same air it did in the sunlit waves long ago. Its fossil was found in the Pisco Basin in 2008 and described by scientists in 2010 after study. They named it for Livyatan, the old sea monster, and Herman Melville, who wrote Moby Dick. The name fit because this whale could reach around 44 to 57 feet, and its largest teeth were about 14 inches long, including the root, thicker than many animal bones. Modern sperm whales dive deep for squid, but Livyatan lived in a different ocean. It had strong teeth in both the upper and lower jaws, so it could bite and hold struggling prey. In the Miocene seas, many smaller whales shared the water, and those rich, warm-blooded bodies may have been the prize this predator followed through open blue water near Peru. Livyatan also lived at the same time as Megalodon, which makes its world feel almost unreal. Two giant hunters may have crossed the same ancient feeding grounds, each powerful in a different way. No one knows every battle the Miocene Sea witnessed, but Livyatan's teeth tell enough. Number 4. Jaekelopterus. Nearly 390 million years ago, before forests were full of birds and before dinosaurs existed, shallow waters in what is now Germany held a giant with claws. Jaekelopterus was a eurypterid, often called a sea scorpion, though it was not a true scorpion. It belonged to an older world of armored fish, mudflats, and strange river mouths. Its fame grew in 2007 when scientists studied a huge fossil claw from the early Devonian rocks of Germany. From that piece, they estimated the animal could reach about 8 feet long, making it one of the largest arthropods ever known. In simple words, it was a bug-like hunter, longer than a tall person, with tools at the front made for catching life. Jaekelopterus likely lived in brackish or fresh water near ancient coasts, not in the deep open sea, but that made it no less scary for the animals around it. Its strong front claws could grab and puncture prey, while its eyes helped it watch movement in cloudy water where armored fish tried to pass unseen through weed, silt, and shadow in the shallows. When its age ended, Jaekelopterus left no roar, no legend carved by people, and no full body waiting in perfect stone. It left a claw big enough to change what scientists thought arthropods could become. That single piece of fossil tells a clear final truth. In the Devonian water, even the creatures with shells had reason to fear its long reach from below. Number 5. Shastasaurus. More than 220 million years ago, during the late Triassic, the ocean already had giants. Shastasaurus was one of them, an ichthyosaur, a marine reptile built for sea life. Its name points back to Mount Shasta in Northern California, where early fossils helped scientists see that some reptiles conquered the water long before whales appeared. The largest animals linked to this group, from places like British Columbia, may have stretched close to 69 feet. That made Shastasaurus one of the largest marine reptiles ever found. Yet, it did not look like a classic toothy monster. Many fossils show a small head, a short snout, and little or no teeth, which made scientists wonder how such a huge animal fed. For years, some researchers pictured it pulling in soft prey, almost like a living vacuum. Later studies questioned whether its throat bones were strong enough for true suction feeding. Still, Shastasaurus likely chased or gathered fish and squid-like animals in Triassic seas, using its great size to move calmly through a world full of smaller hunters. At the end of the Triassic, oceans changed, reefs suffered, and many marine animals vanished. Shastasaurus left behind broken bones, not a complete life story. But those fossils are enough to make the sea feel older and stranger. This was not a roaring beast from legend. It was a silent giant from a vast blue world that disappeared before dinosaurs rose. Number 6. Dunkleosteus. About 382 million years ago, in the late Devonian, a heavy-headed fish ruled warm seas that once covered parts of North America. Dunkleosteus was a placoderm, an armored fish from a lost branch of life. It did not need sharp teeth like a shark. Its skull was wrapped in armor, and its jaws carried bony blades that met like shears, turning its face into a living cutting tool. Many of the best fossils come from the Cleveland Shale of Ohio, where dark rock saved the armored head but rarely the softer body. For a long time, books made Dunkleosteus much longer than a car. Newer studies suggest most large adults were closer to 11 feet, with the biggest around 13 feet, still a powerful size for that ancient sea. Its bite was the real legend. The jaws opened fast, creating a quick pull of water, then snapped shut with crushing force. Instead of regular teeth, the plates sharpened as they rubbed together. In a Devonian world full of armored fish, shell-covered prey, and early sharks, Dunkleosteus carried the weapon for breaking what other hunters could not. Near the end of the Devonian, the oceans passed through a long crisis, and many reef worlds collapsed. Dunkleosteus vanished with other giant placoderms, leaving only plated skulls to speak for it. Yet those bones still feel full of danger. They tell of a fish that did not chase with beauty, but ruled with armor, speed, and one terrible closing bite. Number 7. Cameroceras. Nearly 470 million years ago, during the Ordovician period, the sea belonged to animals that looked nothing like modern fish. Cameroceras was one of the great endocarid cephalopods, a distant relative of squids and octopuses. Instead of swimming with a soft body alone, it carried a long, straight shell like a pale spear through dark, ancient water. Its exact size is still debated because most fossils are broken shell pieces, not perfect bodies. Older estimates imagine shells close to 30 feet, while later work is more careful and often pictures a creature several yards long. Even with that caution, Cameroceras was one of the largest hunters in seas, filled with trilobites, sea scorpions, and early shelled life. The animal lived inside the wide end of its cone-shaped shell. Gas-filled chambers helped it float, while tentacles reached out from the front to grab prey. A hard beak could crush smaller armored animals. In a world before sharks, whales, or mosasaurs, a giant shell with arms may have been enough to make the seafloor feel unsafe for anything slow. Over time, the Ordovician world changed, and later extinction waves reshaped the oceans. Cameroceras left behind no eyes, no soft arms, and no last chase, only stone shells that still point forward like weapons. They remind us that the first sea kings were not always fish. Some were ancient, patient hunters wearing their castles on their backs. Number 8. Mosasaurus. About 66 million years ago, near the very end of the Cretaceous, Mosasaurus patrolled warm seas that covered parts of Europe and North America. It was not a dinosaur, but a giant marine lizard related to snakes and monitor lizards. With a long body, a strong tail, and paddle-like limbs, it moved through the water like a shadow with teeth. Its story with science began in the limestone near Old Maastricht in the Netherlands, where a famous skull was found in the late 1700s. At first, people argued over what it was. Some saw a crocodile, others a whale. Georges Cuvier later helped show that it belonged to a huge, extinct reptile, proving that lost sea worlds could be read from stone. Mosasaurus grew to roughly 40 to 50 feet, and its mouth was built for holding slippery prey. Like other mosasaurs, it had a flexible lower jaw and extra teeth on the roof of the mouth, helping pull food inward. Fossils and bite marks show that mosasaurs ate fish, turtles, birds, plesiosaurs, and even other mosasaurs. Few animals were truly safe when it appeared. Then the Cretaceous ended in disaster. An asteroid struck Earth, climate shifted, and the rich seas that fed Mosasaurus broke apart. The great lizard vanished with the ammonites and many other ocean animals. But its skull still seems to stare from quiet museum halls, reminding us that once before the world changed, the sea had a ruler with a reptile's grin. Number 9. Xiphactinus. About 85 million years ago, the Western Interior Seaway ran through the middle of North America, covering Kansas with salt water. In that warm late Cretaceous sea, Xiphactinus hunted like a giant silver missile. It was a bony fish, not a shark, but it had a bulldog face, long jaws, and teeth made for seizing anything small enough to fit inside. The fish was named by Joseph Leidy in 1870, at a time when American fossil hunters were pulling strange sea animals from chalky rock. Xiphactinus could reach about 15 to 20 feet long, with a deep body and powerful tail. It shared the water with mosasaurs, turtles, flying reptiles above the waves, and sharks waiting for weakness in the blue below. Its most famous fossil was found in Kansas in 1952 and later displayed at the Sternberg Museum. Inside the ribs of a 14-foot Xiphactinus was a nearly complete 6-foot fish called Gillicus. The smaller fish had been swallowed head first and was not digested, meaning the giant predator died soon after its final meal. It is one of prehistory's clearest ocean snapshots. That single fossil makes Xiphactinus feel alive in a way bones rarely do. It shows hunger, speed, and risk all frozen at once there. This hunter could swallow large prey whole, but even the ruler of a chase could make one fatal mistake. Number 10. Liopleurodon. About 160 million years ago, in the Middle Jurassic, the seas of Europe held a hunter built for sudden attacks. Liopleurodon was a pliosaur, a short-necked cousin of the long-necked plesiosaurs. Its body was not made for gentle cruising. It had a huge head, a strong jaw, and 4 flippers that pushed it forward like a living torpedo under a warm sky. Its name means smooth-sided tooth, and it was first described in the 1800s from fossils found in France. Old shows once made it seem larger than a whale, but modern scientists are more careful. The biggest Liopleurodon were likely about 20 to 33 feet long, still large enough to rule Jurassic waters with one fast turn in the blue from Europe's seabeds. This reptile probably hunted fish, squid-like animals, and other marine reptiles in warm, shallow seas that left bones in clay and limestone. Its nostrils and skull may have helped it sense scents in the water. Instead of chasing forever, it likely waited for the right moment, then rushed in with a bite before prey escaped with almost no warning. Liopleurodon vanished long before the last dinosaurs, but its legend stayed large because the shape of the animal feels so direct. It was not strange because of horns or armor. It was strange because every part of it seemed made for one purpose. In the Jurassic Sea, danger did not always circle slowly. Sometimes it came straight at you beneath old sea light. Number 11. Tusoteuthis. About 85 million years ago, the Western Interior Seaway covered the middle of North America, and a giant soft-bodied hunter moved through it. Tusoteuthis was a huge Cretaceous cephalopod known mostly from its gladius, the stiff inner support that fossilized when the rest of the body usually vanished in the mud. Its world was crowded with hungry giants. For many years, people called it a giant squid, but newer studies place it closer to the line of ancient octopus relatives. That makes its story stranger, because its arms, eyes, and skin are not preserved like bones. Scientists must rebuild it from fragile pens found in Kansas, North Dakota, and nearby rocks. Chalk kept the clues, but not soft skin. Tusoteuthis may have reached about 25 feet long, though exact size is still debated. It likely caught fish and smaller sea animals with strong arms in open water, yet it was not safe. Fossils from the old seaway show large fish, and Mosasaurus hunted cephalopods too, turning the hunter into prey in a single bite. Even big hunters could become meals too. That is why Tusoteuthis feels so real, even without a perfect body fossil. It lived in a sea full of giants, where soft flesh could disappear, but one hard piece could survive for millions of years. Its story is not only about size, it is about a shadow with arms, moving through Kansas when Kansas was an ocean. Its name carries an old Cretaceous secret. Number 12. Basilosaurus. About 37 million years ago, during the late Eocene, warm seas covered parts of Alabama, Mississippi, and Egypt. In those waters moved Basilosaurus, an early whale with a long body that looked almost like a sea serpent. It was a mammal, but the first people who studied its bones did not understand that at once. The coastlines then were very different. In 1834, Richard Harlan described the animal and thought it was a giant marine reptile, which is why its name means king lizard. Later, Richard Owen recognized it as a whale and suggested another name, Zeuglodon. The old name stayed, and it became one of the most famous fossils in whale evolution. Its old name never left science again. Basilosaurus could reach about 50 to 60 feet long. It had sharp teeth, a narrow skull, and tiny hind limbs, small reminders that whales came from land-living mammals. Fossils from Egypt's Wadi al-Hitan, the Valley of the Whales, show it lived among smaller whales such as Dorudon, and it may have hunted their young. Those small legs could not carry it on land. This animal was not a gentle giant drifting through calm water. It was one of the top predators of its sea, built to seize large prey with a powerful bite. Yet its bones also tell a bigger story than fear. Basilosaurus shows a turning point in life's history when walking ancestors had fully given themselves to the ocean. Its bones kept that ocean story alive. Number 13. Nothosaurus. About 240 million years ago, after the worst extinction Earth had ever seen, shallow Triassic seas began filling with reptiles again. One of them was Nothosaurus, a long-bodied marine hunter whose name means false lizard. It lived along the warm edges of the ancient Tethys Ocean, where reefs and fish were returning. The recovery was slow and uneven. Nothosaurus fossils are known from Europe, North Africa, and Asia, showing how wide its world became. Some were around 13 feet long, while larger relatives grew even bigger. It had a flat head, a long neck, and narrow jaws lined with sharp needle-like teeth, perfect for catching fish that slipped through coastal water. Even its name carries mystery. For many years, scientists pictured it living a bit like a seal, hunting in the sea and possibly resting near the shore. New discoveries keep adding detail, and not every idea is settled. What is clear is that Nothosaurus belonged to the Sauropterygians, the same great marine reptile family line that later led toward plesiosaurs. The family grew. Its story matters because it came after disaster. The Permian extinction had emptied oceans, yet life slowly rebuilt itself. Nothosaurus was part of that comeback, a sign that predators had returned to the waves. Long before mosasaurs or whales, this false lizard made the Triassic coast feel alive, hungry, and dangerous again. The old ocean had teeth again. Number 14. Cretoxyrhina. About 100 million years ago, the late Cretaceous seas were crowded with reptiles, turtles, giant fish, and sharks. Among them swam Cretoxyrhina, a fast lamniform shark often called the Ginsu shark. It looked somewhat like a great white, but it lived in a world where even sea monsters could bleed. Its teeth were named by Louis Agassiz in the 1800s. Its name means Cretaceous sharp nose, and its fossils are common in rocks from the western interior seaway, especially the Niobrara chalk of Kansas. Cretoxyrhina could grow about 20 to 26 feet long. Its teeth were smooth-edged, thick, and sharp, built less for gripping and more for slicing. Louis Agassiz named the species in the 1840s. The fossil record gives this shark a rare kind of proof. Teeth and bite marks show it fed on large fish, turtles, plesiosaurs, and mosasaurs. Some mosasaur bones even show damage linked to shark attacks, though scientists still discuss whether every mark came from hunting or scavenging after death. One record even includes partly digested mosasaur vertebrae. That debate makes Cretoxyrhina more interesting, not less. It lived in a sea where every meal was risky, and every hunter could become food. This shark ruled in speed and cutting power. Its teeth still look clean and simple, but they carry the story of a blade moving through ancient water.
If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button.
And don't forget to subscribe to this channel.
See you in the next one.